The Peach Bowl yesterday, Texas 39, Arizona State 31 in double overtime, and it was close. I mean, Cam Scatterbo, legendary performance.
Great performance.
It was close to being an all-time college football performance if Arizona State would have won the game.
Well, they made him the MVP, offensive MVP, even though they lost. So
right.
What does that tell you?
Man, I thought that should have gone to Matthew Golden.
He was pretty dominant too, but I don't see how you came away from that game thinking, man, Scatterbo.
It's crazy to look around college football sometimes at kids that are from the state of Texas that under-recruited out of high school, and then they get their moments on the big stage, and they're incredible. And I'm not just talking about Matthew Golden, who's from Klein Cain, and nobody really offered him. He goes to U of H and has a couple of really good seasons.
Mm-hmm. He's their best receiver.
He might be their best player. And Colin Simmons may be their second best player. Their defense is really good.
Yeah,
they got good players on defense. But Cam Ward's another one where you just how does these kids go so under recruited? And it's something that I'm kind of looking at, having discussions with Jason. Is like what Ashton Genty, another one.
Yeah,
Heisman finalist from Dallas, and goes kind of under recruited and goes to Boise State and is the best back in the country. So it's always something interesting to look at the fans. To a certain extent, I think certain coaching staffs get wrapped up in stars.
Yeah.
And we were talking before the show began about, Noah Thomas goes into the transfer portal, and that's another guy to that 2022 class. How many of them are going to finish a career at Texas A&M? There's been one, Shamar Stewart.
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and look through all of it. But, man, it was one of the wildest, most fun few months of my career as an analyst was covering that class. And it just goes to show that you can say about some of this stuff and you can be and you don't.
Oh, yeah.
So your thoughts on A&M's leading receiver announcing that he's headed into the transfer portal?
Not surprised at all. You guys have known. We've talked about this all year long. The biggest deficiency on offense, in my opinion, was that wide receiver group. And look, in fairness to Noah, he had some great moments, right? I mean, this is not a guy that can't play. I think, though, this could be a win for Noah because he could move out, and it could be, he could sit here and say, hey, look, it was the system not getting us open. It was quarterback issues at times, not giving us enough opportunities. And so that could be true. He could move on and find a system where he fits better. But at the end of the day, if he comes back, I think we've seen enough Noah in the system to know that, there's not enough separation. He can go up and make some great plays, but I think what this offense really needs on the outside right now is some speed threats, and he's a good football player, but I just don't think that don't
you think his role gets enhanced and his production gets enhanced because of the talent that they've now brought in around him?
It does. I mean and getting Le'Veon Moss back, right? That all those things are gonna help you. And I think that he would definitely. I believe if he comes back, that he'd be a starting wide receiver. I mean, I know we bring in a lot of guys, but just remember, most of the time, these guys don't end up working out. I mean, it just is what it is. Now, transfer portal guys, more production, more experience, but I think there's a role here for him, and who knows what's going to happen. But I understand. The optics of it are tough for a guy that's in that wide receiver room, and you go out and you make it clearly your day one goal is to do what? Find wide receivers.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that Noah Thomas, again, I hope he decides to stay. I think he is a starter, but I don't think he's a number one receiver.
Yeah.
And I think that he's a guy that often drew coverage from your opponent's best guys, right? So I do think that kind of getting to Ryan's point, with the guys they're bringing in, some guys who can stretch the field, and all of a sudden I think Noah is looking at maybe the guy's opponent's second or third coverage in man, and I think he could have a big year next year.
Yeah, man. I mean, the rivalry is great. I'm glad it's back. I'm glad that A&M is facing off against Texas in every sport. It's good for the fans. It's good for the players and the coaches. As much as anybody wants to say it's just another game, or it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything more than any other game. It does, and the reason it does is because the fans put a lot of pressure on this game to win this game, and the players and the coaches can feel that. They know what it means to the university, and they don't want to let the university down. At the end of the day, they understand, even with NIL and even with the transfer portal and not a lot of players having a ton of loyalty. If you look at this team has been loyal to this program and to Buzz Williams, and they care what's on the front of their jersey. And that's why this game means a little more.
11-2 are the Longhorns as they come into Reed Arena, like I said, Saturday night, 7 o'clock. When you look at this Texas team, Logan, I've been able to watch them play a couple of times, watch them beat NC State in Raleigh. I really like this Trey Johnson kid. But when you look at their body of work so far, the schedule that they've played is nowhere near what the Aggies have run up against.
No, not at all. And no one in the country has played the schedule that A&M has played, and that's good for the Aggies and for what they're doing and what they're trying to accomplish. Texas has, man, when they've played, if you look at the last 4 games or so, they've beat every team by 20 or 30, and they're running guys off the floor. However, if you look at the UConn game, UConn was a top 25 program at the time, and they kind of dismantled the Longhorns. They spread the floor. They used the pick and roll. They played as a team. The Huskies played as a team and got up by 22 in the first half, I believe, early in the first half. And if you want to take a game, just one game film and watch what happened and how they were successful, it's because they spread the floor, they worked as a team, and really they took open shots all game long. Texas's defense was not very good after having to play 15 seconds of defense.
I talked to a lot of Texas fans that think Ewers has something to do with it. I don't know.
That discussion around him is going to be real interesting once they're done playing.
Yeah. But because where's he rank NFL wise? What does he want to leave as?
Does Texas want him there?
Does Texas want him there? Can he go get paid? I mean, we know the answer to that. I don't know if it's $6 million. It probably is. Somebody out there.
Somebody that has got a transfer quarterback right now that is going to go back into the transfer portal market is going to be willing to spend it on him.
Somebody would pay him, I think, a minimum of $4 million a year, and probably more like $6 million. So it's like NFL, which I still think ultimately wins out, but it's NFL, go to the right program for a cajillion dollars, or ask Texas to match it. I don't think Texas matches it, and I don't know that they'd want to. If he comes back, you go with him one more year and you go all in, or you lose Arch, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's fascinating. The matchup coming up is fascinating, but that was 1,000% targeting, and some Texas fans own it. But they have gotten every break this year on every level. And if I'm a Texas fan, I'm not apologizing for it, and I'm going to just go into my weekend assuming that that's going to keep going and I'm going to win a national title. Because if I'm them right now, I feel like it's got to be our year. We are the chosen ones by the football gods, because they did get an easy draw on the schedule. They did. They got a nice draw in terms of the playoff. It wasn't easy, though. I'll say this. They didn't get SMU and Boise. They got Cade Klubnik and Clemson, and they got ASU and Scatabo, who, by the way, behind the freshman dynamo at Ohio State, is the best player in this playoff. That dude's incredible.
Yeah,
he is a badass, and what I saw from him yesterday was like legendary stuff. And Levitt looked really good.
I like Levitt's upside, but I was talking to Aaron Torres, and we're up against a break. But what I told Aaron Torres is like, what an incredible year for Dillingham, and it seems like he's got the program going in the right direction. He's an Arizona State guy. Him going to the playoff and having that performance against Texas is going to cost him money because now everybody is going to start trying to pluck his guys away. And it's a shame that it's like that. And there are going to be kids that help Arizona State go on this run that are going to leave for the dollar signs. When Dillingham's trying to build.
If I'm Mike Elko and A&M, I'm watching that game tape.
Exactly.
I mean, just like every other college coach.
No, it's not. I
might take that big D lineman just for the fake punt purposes. What a call and what a catch by that guy. And he had some speed at 300. I mean, that was ridiculous.